this week I'm going to review a few points, a few business principles that business owners should keep in mind before implementing social media into their marketing and to their business activities. And these points basically have come about from the conversations I've had consulting with business owners. So these are some common patterns that I see that I feel like I should address. So you don't really have to go and reinvent the wheel every time for every business owner. So if you have a good solid understanding of these business principles, then maybe the road to you successfully implementing social media and also working with a social media professional will be short. I'm the founder and president of Captive Touch and Open Social Media Initiative. So the first piece of advice is something that I run into quite often, and it is the discussion of having a clear understanding of your competitive advantage. So if you're a new business concept, you want to think about, and hopefully you have thought about, what it is that you're doing differently. So if you're going into a space and you're generating a new way of doing things, you have to have a good understanding, a clear understanding of that, and you also have to think about how you want to communicate it. If you are a new business owner but you're working on an old concept, for example, if you're somebody who sells insurance, so you're going to be doing something that a lot of other insurance agencies are doing. Now, before you start using social media, you have to think about, what are you going to do differently than other insurance salespeople? How are you going to be different? And this is very important. A lot of times I talk to business owners who have come to crossroads, have come to a stage where their business isn't really doing all that way. They're not having as much sales as they used to have. And they talk to a social media professional and consider social media as sort of a way to try something new, as something that may help them get out of the rut. And I want to invite you, before thinking about social media as that magic powder that you're going to use to make things better, sit down and think about what it is about your business what you're doing that has changed the way for your customers not to come to you anymore. Is it something about your messaging? Is there something new in your industry, in your field, that your customers now migrate to? And think about that and stop. I invite you to stop looking at social media as something new to try to see if you can do business better, if you can pick up your sales and stuff. Okay, so this is very important to understand, and this is something that I run into very often. Second, you want to have a clear understanding of your resources. Hopefully, as a business owner, you have thought about the amount of time you have during the day, how much of the different activities that are required for the business is going to take time. How much of your day is it going to take? And how much funding do you have at your disposal? This is very important. I cannot stress that enough, because a lot of times business owners decide that they are going to implement social media into their activities, and then they start using it and end up realizing that it is extremely time intensive. It takes a lot of time, not only in terms of the amount of labor that it takes, but it also takes, when I say it takes a lot of time, that means as in terms of getting results, you have to be in the space constantly before you can get any meaningful results. So you want to think about that. Sit down and write the different activities that you do during the day, how much you want to spend with your family, how much you have to spend time with your clients, with everything else that you have to do to run your business, and see if you really can fit social media into that space somewhere in your day. And when you come to a realization that no, you really can't fit it and there's no time, you want to make sure that you have enough funding so you can pay somebody else to do it. And that's having a budget for your marketing activities is really important. So in the beginning of the year, you want to make sure that you have a certain amount of budget aside, funding aside for your marketing activities, because if you're not doing marketing, then nobody will know that you exist. So time and resources management is really important. And this kind of discussion applies to both solopreneurs and entrepreneurs and businesses that have employees. So if you have a number of employees, are your employees busy doing other things? Can you really shift their priorities to do social media? Is that such a good idea? So this is, like I said, a basic business principle that a lot of business owners don't take into consideration. Another thing that I hear when I talk to business owners who don't have the funding, they decide that they're going to do it all themselves. And basically, what I want with this point is to sort of highlight the number of different skill sets that are required for somebody to be successful in internet marketing. So let's take a look at them. Especially if you're a new business and you're starting a business, website design and construction, which website design requires somebody who knows design principles, construction requires somebody who knows some HTML coding, content creation and publishing. Content creation takes up a huge amount of time, and basically it's the meat of your social media activities. You need content, and that is extremely time consuming, and it requires somebody who knows how to do business writing, business content creation. SEO is another time consuming endeavor. Web analytics, email marketing, and you have to create a social media strategy, and that in itself requires somebody who has the knowledge of the tools and the experience to really create that strategy. Social media management, like I said, it takes time. And video production and video marketing comes with its own perks, and SEO that has to do with YouTube itself or other tools that come to do with video marketing. So when you think about this, if you are a new business owner and you're offering a new service or you're trying to sell a new gadget, you have to think about that. You have to spend time focusing on your strength, what it is that you're offering to the world. And you know, to spend time on that, trying to make that happen and let others do what they're good at, what they're doing. Because if you're thinking about starting a business, or you're a business owner and you think you're going to give your secretary or an employee or something to do this kind of stuff, realize how much time it is going to take to acquire all this stuff. So this is something, again, that I run into quite a lot. The fourth point is that you cannot acquire a skill by picking someone's brain over lunch. And this might sound a little silly, but again, I hear that a lot and I experience that a lot. When I talk to people, they say, well, I have a friend who knows how to use Facebook. I'll just invite her for lunch and pick her brain. The thing is, no matter how many times you invite your friend for lunch, every time they give you tips, the thing is, Facebook changes so much, the field changes so much, and Facebook itself or any other social media profile or social media tool has so many different aspects that if you take your friend to lunch today, the next time you see them, let's say if you give them lunch every week, things have changed. So learning how to implement social media is nothing that you can gain by picking someone's brain. So get over that and focus on your strength, and have the funding available to be able to ask somebody to do it for you, or make sure you have the time during the day so you can do it by yourself. Another important thing is you have to understand the purpose that you want social media to serve for your business. What does that mean? That means when you go and either think about doing social media yourself, let's say you have enough time, or you go to a social media professional, understand what it is you want social media to do for you. Understand what is it the problem that you want to solve. You want more awareness? Do you want social media to spread the word about your business? Do you want more sales? You want to get more people to your website so they can sign up? Or do you want to drive them to your shopping cart? It's important that you understand the purpose of these activities. Don't just opt to use social media just because everybody is doing it. You've probably heard this before, but again, when I talk to people, it seems like they don't really have a good understanding of what it is they want from this thing called social media. Another important thing, and again, I hear this a lot, is that you really cannot be omnipresent. That means that you cannot be active on all the social media channels. And I come across this quite a lot. I meet people and they say, you know, social media is so great. It's working out for everybody. I'm in a hurry to get the word out for my business, and I want to be in every channel. I want you to push content or try to get exposure for me in every possible channel there is. And it's basically practically not impossible unless you have an army or you don't sleep. So my suggestion is that you should focus on your audience. Having focus is one of the most important principles that you have to carry with you all the time. If you do not focus on what you're doing, you're not going to be successful. Focus on your niche, on your audience, focus on your business, and on a limited number of activities that you have a good understanding what purpose they serve for you and your business. So remember, if you don't remember anything else, remember the word focus. Finally, understand that the online and offline phases of your business might generate trust. And you probably have heard this before, but the reality is that I'm going to say it again. Again, based on my experiences, there used to be a time where it was norm for people, it was the thing to do in marketing, to try to trick people or manipulate people to click on a link or go on your website or make them think that you're great. But people's BS meters are up there. They are not going to buy that anymore. You have to be genuine and trustworthy. And I came across this recently working with a business owner who was trying to launch a business, and they were asking me to give them proposals and suggestions for their business. And then one of the things I noticed on their website was that they had fake testimonials on their website. And it was obvious that you could tell that the image was from iStock photo and just from the wording of the testimonials. And basically, I told them that before we start launching any social media or anything you do, you need to change your website. I'm willing to help you, give you suggestions, but your website doesn't generate trust. And basically, the response was that, well, we sort of put this together in a hurry because we wanted to launch, and that's not something you want to do. So focus on generating trust, because people, we've been trying to manipulate people, not we, the old-fashioned marketing, that basically they know what we're all about. So the best way to go is to be transparent and generate trust. And here's a bonus tip, and I'm sure you've heard it before, but it doesn't hurt to remind you of yourself of this, and maybe, I don't know, print out some form of it and put it in front of you. And the bonus tip is that there are no shortcuts or magic bullets for attaining success in business, social media, or anything else. Chances are that you're going to see stories of people, business owners having success with social media, and their video went viral, and there are these fantastic bloggers that have thousands of followers, and so on and so forth. But what you don't know is that they put a lot of work behind it. And even those, consider this, that people don't usually share their negative results with everybody. They always talk about their successes. So behind every success story, there's a lot of trial and error and a lot of hard work. So keep that in mind. Now, before I go into our what's new in social media, I'm going to go back and see if our guests have anything to say. Let me go back to myself. Okay. Do any of you have anything to say? Anything to add?
I think your points are very well taken. The idea, though, that, you know, one thing I'm a little confused with is also you should be determining who your target audience is going to be. Because a large business or a division of a business is going to have a different set of priorities than, say, a small business.
Yeah.
And you have to tailor your message as a consultant, I would imagine, as a media consultant, to deal with the different messaging mediums that you're going to do. It comes down to resources as well, because, you know, I know for a fact that when I work for a larger enterprise, their payment cycles are a little different in their budget. They may have a budget, but getting the consultant paid and actually getting a budget to commit to a proposal is a lot longer than one would think. Even if they're well capitalized, they've got to go through their bureaucracies. Whereas a smaller business may have a different set of priorities. They just want to get visible, and they may have some issues with to me, and it's been my experience that they're the ones that tend to take shortcuts, like you mentioned, being transactional instead of developing the relationship model that you spoke of in Factor 7 with engendering trust. All I'm saying, though, is that one thing that you pointed out that I thought was very good was pointing out the need for a specific skill set.
Yeah.
Although I would say that SEO and web analytics are pretty much hand in hand, as is the video with the content creation. And even those can be bifurcated to more sophisticated levels. You might have you may be a whiz-bang web developer, but you may not know anything about video.
Exactly.
Or the specialties that engender that, especially when it comes to web video. I've had many years of trying to perfect the process. Now, evidence is probably this little webcam thing. I started out with a very professional setup, and it really wasn't much different than the newer models of the webcams that are coming out with higher resolutions. I spent a great deal of money for that higher thing, and it turned to be obsolete in a very short amount of time. What you want to do is provide that value message, you know, to your prospective client that you can spend a great deal of money just staying in place. Because you're going to make mistakes, trial and error. You need to be able to focus those resources, especially if you have a limited budget for such, to what you can yeoman out to other people, and get the best. It all comes down to a point of specialty and and playing to your strengths, as well as being able to hire to get to the help you need that will provide that consistent message.
Yes.
It's only an observation, Sherry. It's not really a criticism of that. But I do believe that the social climate. One point that you made that really resonates with me is that Facebook, for example, you know, taking a break. Facebook is a lot different than it was 5 years ago.
Yes.
I'm an early adopter, so I know exactly what you're speaking of. I mean, Facebook has migrated from basically a giant BBS bulletin board, electronic bulletin board, to something much different.
Yes.
And what stands today is going to be a lot different than it was that time. Is going to stand a lot different than it is today, and hopefully it will continue to evolve. Hopefully something will actually replace Facebook, because I'm not really a great big fan of the medium anyway. Because I don't believe that with their trust issue, they themselves have trust issues, and I'm not going to have to elaborate. But yeah, those are the observations I made from that. I'm not sure that they really were questions so much as observations about what you said.
Okay, thank you very much for sharing. What about you, Beth?
I think.
Unmute my microphone first. I thought it was very interesting and informative. One of the things that really struck me the most was on the list of skills needed. You could practically just do some swapping, and those are the same skills needed for SEO. So it's just interesting how much interplay there is. And Joseph kind of referred to that as well, but that was interesting. So there's a lot of commonalities
between all those skills.
No, between the fact that both SEO and social media both need a lot of the same skills to, but maybe executed in sometimes in similar ways and sometimes in different ways. But one, for example, content generation is hugely key to both of them.
Okay, awesome. And we are going to hear from you next week, right, about that?
Yep.
Awesome.
Yep.
Okay. Well, thank you very much for your input, and I agree that a lot of these things are overlapping, but still, it takes time to develop all those skills, and that's basically the point I was trying to make. That instead of saying that, oh, this is so expensive, I'm going to just learn how to do it myself, that's going to take a business away from basically what they're supposed to be doing. Unless you're an online marketer.
No, I agree 100% with that, and that's a lot of people make that mistake to try and do it all themselves. So, in fact, I was talking with a local business owner here, and I did a short amount of training with her, and she got so excited by the training that she literally has not slept for the last 72 hours because she's trying to do it all herself.
You can't do that.
Yeah, well, I don't know. It's good not to have the luxury of not having to sleep, but it doesn't.
She's a lot younger than I am.
Oh, okay, that helps.
Well, that's a point. The consultant should be the first educator to those fact base. Exactly. That it is impossible to do everything yourself, and pointing out that it is not their specialty. It's best to farm this out, especially if you want to have any sort of impact. I mean, we really come down to the point now with there's so many consultants out there that are that just raise the noise instead of providing the signal.
Exactly.
And one of the things you can do is that you have to, as a consultant, you have to engender the trust. Client.
Right. Exactly. That was one of the funny thing is I really tried. I mean, I gave her classes that I thought she should take and resources that she should go to, and tried to really explain how kind of dangerous it can be to try and do it all yourself. But not everybody's gonna adhere to the advice or the training, as well. So it's just kind of an interesting, funny story.
That's actually hi, Joe. Nice to thank you for joining us. So you two raised two very important points. That are one is it's important for a consultant to be an educator as well. I sort of hear people saying that when I started this open social media initiative, I've been always criticized for providing information openly. And basically teaching others to do what I can do or others can do, but I kind of don't subscribe to that point of view. I think as consultants, we first have to be educators. If there is somebody who's willing not to sleep and they want to do it themselves, that's fine. I'd be happy to show them how to do it, but really, in reality, it doesn't work that way. But really, I feel like having an educated client is a lot better than someone who really doesn't have a good feel of what it takes to be successful. So I don't buy that argument of stop teaching people what you do because you create competitors for yourselves. And then another thing is the need for, when someone looks for, especially with the point that there are so many consultants, when someone looks for a social media professional, not only it's important to have someone that they generate trust in you, but you also want to find somebody who can help make your business, the way you present yourself online, very uniquely, because the level of noise has increased. And this is basically the point of the principle one that I shared, that understand what your competitive advantage is. And if you're going to go talk to a social media professionals, try to find one that is able to help you stand out, someone who's creative. Creativity is extremely important. Everybody, I mean, any social media professional can show you how to use Hootsuite, or can help you automate your stuff to be efficient. They can show you how to curate content so you can push it into your media. But the one that is really going to make a difference for a business is someone who has ideas to help you stand out, make you different, make you separate from your competition. So any words about that, Joseph or Beth or Joe? No?
No, I think those are all excellent points.
Okay, seems like Joseph wanted to say something.
Well, no, it's just, I have to reiterate that. Well, you also have to look at one other thing, that if you try to do it all yourself, all you're going to do is get a big ball of frustration, because what you're going to do is get what I call social media fatigue.
Yes.
It's a question of trying to do everything when you should concentrate on maybe 4 of the largest platforms, instead of trying, or to a niche product that is catered to your specialty. One of the things that I do is a lot of stuff with the wine and beverage industry. You know, we are trying to create something along the lines of a Facebook for that tailored industry, because there's a lot of enthusiasts there. It's like anything else, you know. You have with curation and the things like that, you have to be able to appeal to the audience that is going to buy your products.
Exactly.
And that's the only thing that I would say, is that you sometimes it isn't a good idea to do anything but leave a breadcrumb trail to maybe a specialty like your website, and to the resources that would be pointing towards like these specialty things, like the wine boards and the like for my example, the wine boards and the websites. There's hundreds and hundreds of vendors out there, for example, that have no idea. They want a social media presence, and they have to bring their brand visibility up. This is very important, but they have no idea how to do it properly. Putting a Facebook page is not going to do it.
Yeah.
It involves that signal versus noise thing again. You know, you have to be able to make that distinction, and a true social media consultant will tailor those messages and broaden the appeal for you're actually going for depth, not scope. If I can
exactly. Yes. Yeah.
And that's the important message you have to do. A social media consultant will do that. A good one anyway will tailor the message. And then but you know, he's also listening as well as articulating. Because he has to understand your business. And that's kind of why I do specialty things like this, because I want to be able to understand an industry, but I don't have the depth of being a vintner or a visagist or you know, something along those lines. I don't have the time to understand everything.
Exactly.
So it's kind of the collaboration. Well, I can do this and I can offer this, but
Yeah.
you know, you have to be able to help me with the content creation, because I have to understand your message or what you're trying to do.
Yeah.
Again,
So
another observation.
understanding, so doing things in depth, and also I want to add again, focusing and creativity.
Absolutely.
Creativity is very important these days. Yeah.
And it's important to engage your client in doing such things, but
Yes.
it's also important to understand that we have our limitations. Definitely. And I'll close with that.
Okay. We're human after all, huh?
More or less.
Okay. Well, thank you very much. I'm going to move to the next segment of our show, which is I'm just going to share some of the hottest news about our ever-changing industry. So I'm going to move back to the slides again. Make sure that the slides are up. Okay. So what's new in social media, and what does it mean for you for the week of March 25th? First of all, Google has launched a calculator to help brands measure the impact of online and offline behavior of their target audience on the brand's mobile marketing efforts. So basically, it helps you figure out how successful you are in selling to a public that is increasingly using mobile browsing to find what they're looking for. And Google and Facebook and everybody sort of realized that the mobile revolution is here. So they're trying to give you tools in order to manage that. And if you don't know yet, and what I shared a couple of weeks ago was this website that Google has put together called google.com/think. And if you subscribe to their newsletter, they give you information about the latest Google projects and all these wonderful new ways of marketing. Facebook, mark your calendars for April 4th, 10 a.m. PST. Facebook is holding a press event, and the title of the event is Come See Our New Home on Android. And the rumors are that Facebook has developed a mobile phone operating system which will be hosted on Android phone. So these are speculations. We don't know how much of that is going to be true, and we'll just have to wait and see on April 4th. Facebook is has been introducing, and it keeps introducing really interesting ad features, ad products. So there is something called Facebook Ad Exchange Ads, which basically retargets the audiences that visit different places on the web, and they sort of retarget ads to them based on their web surfing behavior. Now, previously, this kind of ads used to be on the right-hand side of the Facebook newsfeed, and Facebook is testing introducing those ads into the newsfeed. So, for example, if you're going to look for shoes, if you're surfing the web to buy a pair of new shoes, or look for clothes or appliances or a gift for somebody, chances are in a matter of a few months you're going to see those same products that you viewed in your newsfeed again. So this is something that we're going to have to all get used to, and this is something also happens then on various websites. It's not only Facebook. There is this ad that keeps following me no matter what website I visit these days. And this is because the ad that is served to me comes from a website that I have visited before. Then Facebook introduces like audiences. This is basically an extension of custom audiences feature, and if you're not familiar with the custom audiences feature, it's basically you can target your customers based on the information you have on their email addresses and other information that you have in your CRM, in your database. You don't sort of, Facebook doesn't give you detailed information or who those people, specific information about your database, but it gives you enough information such that you can target ads to them based on their behavior online. So what is lookalike audiences? This is basically an extension of custom audiences, in that not only you can service ads to people that are in your CRM, you can now service ads to people that have the same, if you like, profile as your as the people that are in your CRM. So it's like sitting down and creating a customer profile, a persona, and you can serve ads based on the properties of that persona that fits the people in your database. There is a quite detailed description of these features in this link that I'm showing you here. This basically takes you to a page on Facebook that describes all of these different ad features. So this is extremely interesting. Some people might find it annoying, but I kind of think that it's extremely powerful. So that's it for this week in terms of news. Any comments? Do you like it? You don't like it? You don't like the developments, or do you like the developments? Like,
I'm kind of neutral on the developments. The brand retargeting has been going on for a long time. Mm-hmm. So that it's I don't know that I'm personally really excited or neutral. I think the calculator is the one that I think is the most interesting.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Okay, yeah, because retargeting, I've seen it before, and like I said, when I visited just these past few days, I see that same ad from the same website in every page that I go. So retargeting has sort of become a reality of our online life these days. You can't get away with it. So it seems to annoy people more when it's on Facebook. But were you going to say something? We can't hear you.
Oh, no.
I forgot to mute the mic, or unmute the microphone. One of the things I was thinking about with this like audience thing, is this an opt-out or an opt-in type of thing, you know, or is this just something Facebook says, oh well, you guys?
No, I think you can decide not to be served ads.
Good.
Yeah.
Because that doesn't seem to be, that's very contrary to their usual philosophy. Is, oh, you're all going to be in, and then oh yeah, well we can do the secret thing, and I can show you the secret way to opt out. Because
no. There is a way of choosing not to be served ads by certain vendors, except I'm not sure if everybody knows all those privacy settings, but I'm sure they'll find a way to figure it out. There's another thing that I didn't put on the slide, is that apparently Facebook, or Mark Zuckerberg, is starting to fund political initiatives.
Yes.
And I kind of view it might be a little bit scary given the amount of power we think Facebook has, or Mark Zuckerberg has, but when I think about the time where SOPA was sort of trying to be passed through the Congress, and they were going to really limit the way we were going to use social media accounts, and for example, if somebody would leave a comment on your blog post, on your Facebook comment, or whatever, you would have to check each and every one of those comments to make sure that it's compliant, it's not breaking copyright issues. It would basically make it impossible for us to use social media.
Right.
And because people like Facebook and Google and basically everybody online, they shouted really, really loud, as loud as they could, until that didn't go through. So in a way, in terms of our ability to gain information
Mm-hmm.
freely and to discuss freely as human beings, I see it as a positive move for Zuckerberg to care about political initiatives, to have something about it. Do you have any views?
Only that it's a double-edged sword. What
Uh-huh.
you know, it could be used for beneficial purposes, like stopping something like an ASOPA initiative, but it also can be used for as a bully pulpit to get their own sort of agenda forward. You know, let's say Facebook was more like Oracle,
Mm-hmm.
which I think is a rather evil organization, but that's neither here nor there. They aren't above, you know, coercion and type of hard sell tactics. Now, if they want something, I'm seeing that
They go get it.
they'll get it.
Yeah, it's like their hostile takeover of PeopleSoft.
Yeah, exactly, or a number of other things that they've done in the past. I mean, I live in the Silicon Valley, I used to live in the Silicon Valley. I still live in the San Francisco Bay Area, so I see this stuff firsthand and have a definite. I'm old, so the history. I understand the history from the inception. I've been programming since I was 15 years old. I'm 54 now, so I've seen a lot of the developments in sort of the way software has gone from a rather benevolent entity to something that you know, well, it could be used as a tool for good or evil. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
you know, you hear these little press things like, you know, Google saying, "Don't be evil." There's a reason why they say that, because they've seen it in the field. And what I guess I'm getting at is Facebook is much more akin to like an Oracle in my view, or a Microsoft in that point of view than it is to a Google.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, just the evidence of what I've seen, and I don't want to make go off on a huge tangent here. I'm just saying though that it is a double-edged sword, and the more political influence they will assert, the greater potential for misuse. And yeah, it's a good thing, but for something like SOPA. But what if it is like I want to sell ads, you know, and I want the legislation to reflect that maybe you don't have as much privacy online as you think, or you know. So I'm going to coerce Congress into playing ball with me, you know, that sort of thing. I'm not sure that isn't happening now, but that would be.
Yeah, it is happening. It is happening. I mean, the reason I'm optimistic about it, and I'm sure there's going to be probably negative side effects too, but because of what I read a book by Ekaterina Walter, and she basically described Mike Zuckerberg and his philosophies and things like that.
Right.
He basically believes in having an open world where we openly communicate. So having that somebody that has influence in that respect, it's good to have. It's good to have in the political scene. So make sure our freedom is not going to be strangled like they were going to do it with SOPA.
Yeah, but you know, as I said, that's also open. You know, what's this guy's idea of open versus what my idea of open is? You know, it might be two different things. And as I said, you know, it may be okay. He may think it's okay to know what I do in the bedroom. But I know it's an extreme example, but you know, that may not be okay with me.
Yes.
And unfortunately, we apply things, like it or not, things are articulated by the founders and the people who make these decisions, and that is a little bit scary to me. You know, whatever their personal, I aspirations and the like articulated down the road into what the product becomes.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there was nothing wrong with Beacon, according to him, you know, and a lot of people felt it was very intrusive.
Mm-hmm.
You remember Beacon? Beacon was that thing where you buy something off or respond to an ad that for a pair of pants, and then or a product, and then Facebook knows that, and it knows that your friends. It'll tell all your friends that you bought this pair of pants. You know, whether you really wanted to know that. But and that may sound benign, but what if you're buying an engagement ring, and you want to make it a surprise? Well, what if your fiance is looking at your Facebook profile and or her Facebook profile, and Jim has bought an engagement ring.
Yeah, and I think it again comes back to that point of education, and maybe it's important for people to know how to control their privacies. There's a lot of people that indiscriminately, when they sign into a website, they use their Facebook login.
Sure.
And they don't realize that whatever they do shows up on the newsfeed.
Somebody's server. Yeah. Exactly. Well, and I bring I only bring the point is that we keep getting these little missteps where we think that we have this privacy, and we really don't.
We really do.
And what's more is it's all turned on until somebody turns it off, and then that requires education.
Yes.
And unfortunately, it should be the other way around. In my view, you should be able to turn things on, not the other way around, where you have to turn things off.
Yes.
And unfortunately, their model doesn't work if they don't operate the way they do.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
It goes without saying. Anyway, that's the end of my comment.
Beth, did you have anything to say?
No, I think it'll be interesting to watch it all unfold, and you know, who knows what'll happen.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So if there are no questions or comments, I'm going to bring this show an end. Just want to know that this pretty lady that is sitting here, Beth Browning, she's going to hold a series of workshops, 3 of them, right, Beth?
Yep, that's right.
3 consecutive workshops on SEO. I'm just looking so forward to it. And you're going to be getting the invitations and hearing from us about how Beth is going to rock Open Social Media Initiative for the next 3 weeks. So
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Very much. It is a pleasure.